are. Another episode 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. First one we actually haven't even published yet, right?
Yeah, it's getting there.
But it was a good one.
Well, we had the company party and whatnot.
Yeah, it was a busy week. Yeah. But here we are, episode 1, guest number 1, and who other than Jeremy Olson himself. So
man, I am honored to be your first guest.
So the podcast here again is It's Not Just Insurance. And the point of that is that we want to go just a little bit deeper and just find out a little bit more about what makes Jeremy Olson tick.
Love it.
One of the names that we kicked around actually for this was Insurance Uncut. And the uncut part just sound like there's a little bit of, maybe a dirty side to insurance. And there's not. We have nothing but great things to say about insurance. But the uncut part of getting a little bit deeper in finding out more about our guests is something that we're really looking to dive into. So, Jeremy, thank you for being on the show. I think I've known you now for about 10 years, I would say. Is that fair?
I think it might be a little bit longer than that. I think I could have been Ideal Trade's first customer. I don't know. But yeah,
it'd be more than 10.
Yeah, a long time. And we met at Mega, and where all the great minds met, and just been absolutely great friends ever since. And you always amaze me. The accomplishments that you've had are just absolutely unbelievable. Number 1 agent in the country, Hall of Fame, best in company, the biggest producer, all of it. And not to mention the first class coaching company. But let's start at the very, very beginning. And what I'd like to know, even though I know some of these stories, so I'm cheating a little bit, but when was your first thought that you might want to become an insurance agent?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say maybe age 2, but we'll push it out a couple of years. I'm pretty certain it was around 4. My father was a 43-year State Farm agent. My grandfather was, when I first met my grandfather, he was a bus driver and then got into insurance. And he did State Farm for about 25 or 30 years. My mom was a State Farm claims adjuster, so I spent my childhood flying around to different catastrophes, earthquakes, and hurricanes and whatnot. And just literally since I was the littlest kid, I just knew this is what I want to do. Strange story, but it is true.
Wow. Just like almost out of the womb, you knew without a doubt. So yeah, was there...
And people ask, why, insurance usually isn't this glamorous, exciting career. I think we've done a good job of making it somewhat that. But I would say the reason that I was really attracted to it, a couple of things. First of all, my parents always seemed super happy. They were out, they would socialize. They had a lot of friends in the industry. Golf was a big part of it. They just seemed to really enjoy what they did. So if they've got that, heck, I'll just follow them and do the same thing, because that's what we all want, is to be happy and to have a profession that makes us happy. Number 2 were the experiences that I had with my mom. Again, she was on the catastrophe team and would literally fly around the country to the different catastrophes for months at a time. She would get apartments. Many of the earthquakes in California, hurricanes in Florida I've been to as a kid. And, I would carry her ladder for her and be in people's living rooms and just talking to them. I was, just a little kid, but just seeing the impact that we can have in this industry. Like, it was literally her that was writing them a check on their kitchen table and okay, you guys can continue your life. We're so sorry for your loss. Here's, the ability to rebuild. And that, what better of a profession can somebody have, where we know that in the worst time, we're the ones that will be there for them. So really those two things, they love their job, helped people. Those two things, just a great combo.
That's awesome. That's really good. And what I heard about that is not only that, I mean, you're an extreme businessman, and we'll get to those in a bit, but it's more than that. It's about, I mean, helping others. Like it's a super important role that we play as insurance agents in the time of need. And so that's awesome.
It's just funny because I ask agents, that's the first thing I ask them when I first meet them. What got you into insurance? What was the first gig you had in insurance? And it's usually like, I don't know how I got into it. Like it just kind of like, it was just random. I never thought I'd get into it. And now Jeremy's telling us like he was born for it and he's passionate about it. And that's pretty cool to hear. And that,
it's pretty rare to know you're going to do this for so long. And I to this day, I always say to myself, man, what if I wouldn't have found insurance? I don't have any idea what I would be doing. This truly, I tell my friends, my family, my kids this all the time, that I feel so lucky to truly be in the profession that like is my calling for so many reasons. Not just that it's sales, not just that it can be a great living, just the ability to help our customers and our team, like just a really incredible position we can be in.
Yeah, that's really cool. So have you ever even considered the fact of doing anything other than insurance?
No, well, it's funny that you asked me before the show. You mentioned you might ask me that, and I was trying to think. I think there was maybe a 3-day period in college. I don't even know why. I think one of the other bank tellers that I worked with was studying for the LSAT, and they were going to become an attorney. And believe it or not, I was like, maybe I could do that too. And so I ordered the book and everything. And the minute the book showed up and it was this thick, I was like, no, I'll go back to insurance. And so, but that was truly the only thought, and it was for just a period of a few days, because insurance is something that's been in my blood. Absolutely knew for a long time this is what I want to do.
Yeah, great. And let's talk about high school for a minute. Any sports? Did you play sports?
I did. I was a captain of my basketball team. I know you play basketball, but yeah, basketball was literally my life growing up. You talk about, I know that I am fairly extreme. That's just my personality. Basketball was something throughout my entire school days, from the time I was in elementary to high school, I would carry a basketball with me. In fact, I was at one point banned from reading any more basketball books because every single report was on basketball. But loved basketball, played it all 4 years in high school. And those
what position?
I played point guard.
Okay.
I was 6'1" at that point, and just I guess I still am. But I just love basketball and always played it.
Nice. Well, one of the things about Jeremy, as that maybe most of the viewers know, is the extreme. And, I believe, and, it's been said before, that the extremes expand capacity, and you take anything to the extreme. You could be working out, you could be basketball. I mean, the greatest athletes in the world in their field are just extreme. And I think that's you. Like in insurance, you take it all the way to the max. It's all extreme, but it isn't even just insurance. It's whatever you get into, right? I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
And I think where I think I would owe that one to my dad. Him and I grew up, we would talk business and do different things. And I always remember one time he's like, Jeremy, just whatever you do, just you always have to be the best. Just always be the best. It doesn't matter to me if you're one of those people that stands on the corner and twirls the sign for the furniture store having a sale. Whatever you are doing, be the best. Yeah. And that's what, doesn't have to be the most money, doesn't have to be, any of that stuff. Just be your best. And to me, if that is perceived as extreme, I'll take it, because I do work extremely hard in anything that I do, because I just have that sense of pride, I would say, is in always delivering my best for me.
Yeah. And for your team. But it's anything, even if a new iPhone comes out, how quickly will you get the next new iPhone?
Oh, I'm there when the store opens, Kevin.
Really?
Every new model, like exactly day one
He'd throw up at the phone I'm using right now.
of the new model.
Yeah,
Jeremy's there
and
in
that's
line.
just my personality. I'm no matter what it is, I'm
Yeah.
all in.
Yeah. And it's fun. I was literally, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, where did you get it from? So your father was a big influence on you then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I grew up really just respected my dad, what he was doing in insurance. And I just really, I'm the kind of person that if I see somebody that's successful, I just follow them. Like my work ethic, yeah, there's a lot of credit there for why we're as successful as we are as an agency. But it also is, from watching so many other agency owners, if I see somebody that's successful, go copy that. That's what I do. And so with my dad, that is everything. My life is very similar to his. And we went to the same college. We had the same degree. I have a sociology degree from the University of Washington. And the way that we lead our teams and manage, very similar to his style, just because I saw how successful he was.
Awesome. So let's move a little bit now. You graduated from college, and let's talk about your first role in insurance. Where was that? What did that look like?
Yeah, so my whole life I had worn khaki pants, red shirt, and I was going to State
I
Farm.
can picture
I knew
it.
I knew I was going to State Farm, but in those days there was something that State Farm called Agency 2000, where to become an agent you had to go work in claims for 3 years, and I had done a lot of claims with my mom. I knew that probably wasn't my personality. I'm more of a salesperson, and so I didn't want to do claims. And so I was at that time through college. I had been a bank teller for 4 years. And I had met the local Allstate agent doing his deposits every night. In fact, his wife was a personal banker with me in the bank. And so I had asked them if they were hiring in their agency. It was right down the street from the bank. And I was graduating. I would love to have you mentor me for a couple years, learn the business, and then go branch out and have my own agency one day. And so I remember he offered me the position Friday, June 9th, 1995. And, he was like, when do you want to start? A lot of my friends, they were going to Europe for 2-3 months, which love that stuff. But I was so excited about insurance and so ready to get into working. And I was very proud to be able to have this opportunity. And I said, I can start Monday. And so he gave me the keys that night, Friday night, and planned on starting Monday. And I think I've told you the funny story, just how excited I was about this, and it truly was all innocent. But this was Saturday, the next day. And I was going out with a couple of buddies, and I was like, man, you guys got to see this office. Like, I had never had an office job. I had been a bank teller, never had my own space, and hadn't been in insurance. I could not have been more excited. So I was like, let's go there, and we can hang out. We'll have a few refreshments there before we go out on the. I wasn't a big bar guy or drinker guy, but we were going out. It was Saturday night, and so we stopped there. And brought
this is before you even started.
Before I even started.
This is the day he hands you the keys for Monday, Saturday. And this is the next day, Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. And I had probably been there Friday night too. I was so excited, but this was Saturday. And so there's 3 of us, and we're having a few beers, and I was so excited. And, I was sitting back at my desk, and probably my feet were up on the desk. And I was just envisioning this great career that was about to happen for me. And it was 10:30 or so at night, pitch black out. And I look out in the back, and a couple of headlights are coming, and they park at the office. And I'm like, who could be here at 10:30? And so I looked out, and it was my new boss and his wife.
Oh,
And
no.
oh man, I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if he was going to come in there and say, this isn't going to work. I mean, it was bad. You know, we were 22 years old, and I just ran up to him. I'm like, oh my gosh, Scott, Terry, I'm so sorry. The truth is, I'm so excited. I wanted to show my friends where I was going to work, and thank goodness he still hired me, and I started Monday, and just had a great couple of years working for him. But that's how it began.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. So
So what was his first reaction? Was he like, what's happening? And then did he just believe your
Yeah.
story that you were so excited to start working?
Yeah. I mean, he just walked through the door like, what's going on? I'm sure he was
yeah.
probably driving by, saw the
Surprise.
lights on. Surprise. Yeah. But no, he was very cool about it. And within a minute, totally understood and appreciated that I was excited.
Yeah. Cool. So you start working at in one thing before that is you mentioned you were a bank teller but your lifelong goal was to be in insurance, but you were a bank teller on purpose, right?
On
Tell
purpose.
us a
Yeah.
little about that and why.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just, I kind of knew in seeing my dad and my grandfather, just what they did. What do we do in insurance? We talk to people. That's what we do. And in any sales position, we just have to know how to talk to people. And so I just thought, well, I've got to have a part-time job through college. What would be something that could really help me as an insurance agent? Something that I would see a lot of people throughout the day. And a bank teller came to mind. And it was just a great profession to get into because we would, on a daily basis, we used to have contests who could help the most people. And we would usually get 400 to 500 transactions in a given day. So 400 to 500 times we're having to build that quick rapport. We're having to learn different personalities, how to handle people that are in a hurry, upset, want to talk forever, just all the different personalities, how to navigate them. And it was just a real great learning experience to get into this profession.
That's cool. I mean, to go there specifically to build a skill that you can utilize, at the insurance agency. So you start at the agency, and how were your sales? I mean, did you start off just hitting it out of the park, or what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, I would say no, definitely didn't. Again, I was 22 years old and was still kind of learning things. And he was just a great mentor to me. The one thing that I always take away most from that experience is just his teaching of me, his patience with me learning different things. And when I'm hiring people and have producers, this is always kind of how I think of it, is just it's important that we understand our job, that we're educated, and really, again, know how to talk to people. And so one specific thing we did during those 2 years, every single day, we would go to lunch together. You can't do that nowadays, obviously, but we would shut the office down. We would walk down the street to the Yankee Diner and have lunch for 2 hours. And he would make me bring 20 new questions to him every single day.
Wow.
And I love that because that is really where I learned insurance. It could be the silliest questions. Are red cars more expensive than blue cars to insure? Just anything that I thought, could that ever come up in my day-to-day job? I knew I wanted to be just well armed for any phone call that came in. So we did that for 2 years. We became great friends. I would say by the end of the time, I was probably writing 50 to 75 policies a month. And it was a little bit different back then. We had paper applications, and we had to actually go take Polaroid pictures of every house that we wrote and measure the house ourselves. I was always glad I had a size 12 shoe because each step was a foot. But there was just a lot more time involved in an application. It was not just hit a button, it's off, and you have this team that's going to go inspect it. You were the inspector.
Wow.
Sounds like the old days, huh? Closing percentage is probably way higher and things are a lot different.
Yeah, it was just different. There wasn't, the internet was just coming out, so we didn't really have leads or anything like that. It was purely the relationship type stuff. And that's where I learned that whole process that we have today on the inside team, where we just take those calls coming in and transition those to sales. That's where that came from, was working in that agency.
So that originated with him. That's what he did. Because he
Hmm.
said every
Yeah,
incoming
yeah, I
call
didn't
was a
have the
new
whole
meeting.
RDCR
Yeah,
process or the phrases that we use, but yeah, that was the
sure.
whole point. Like, the phone's ringing, that's free. Let's use that to make more sales. That was the
Yeah.
philosophy, rather than, spend a bunch of money on marketing. We certainly networked with loan officers and things like that. But for the most part, it was like, take advantage of what you have coming in every day.
Mm, yeah. Well, you really helped me out in my career. Thank you for that. You and Kristin. In my agency, when we started, we were writing business and gangbusters and sale, and service was kind of like, yeah, like take care of the calls. Like you guys just take care of all that stuff. And then he introduced, the RDCR, and we went, and it took some time. You got to learn the word tracks, but probably in what, maybe a 6 month time, we went from 0 to 100 items a month, from 0
What year was this?
to 100. Boy, that was in, what do you think? Maybe
I
six,
guess
fifth,
16, 17, somewhere in there.
yeah, somewhere around there, in just like transformed our business into an area we'd never had before. And
Yeah.
so I thank you for that. That was a big impact on our
Oh,
agency, something we
absolutely.
never
Yeah. No,
even
to,
considered.
to me, I would say that
Mm.
still to this day is the biggest opportunity as an insurance agent, is to really grasp, because I knew you just said it yourself, that just the concept, you were
Yeah,
like, service work, that just comes with, as you grow your agency bigger, you just got service work and hire people
yeah,
to take care of that. People don't tend to grasp just the opportunity that we have on those calls. We still track that in my agency, and the data shows that 20% of our incoming calls, that they're not calling to buy anything, they're calling to do a piece of service work, add a car, change a car, they moved, they're mad at their rates, just anything. 20% of our calls result in a new sale by transitioning into a review, which is our whole process and what we do. So you think about that. If you're in an agency that takes even 20 calls a day, you have 4 sales a day times 22 work days. You have 88 sales every month. That is totally free. You don't have to buy any leads. You don't have to do anything. 20% of your calls can result in a new
mm,
sale.
such a huge number. I mean, a game changer for most in those, in the Allstate world, although others will be viewing in different,
Yeah.
brands. But in the Allstate arena, that the VC, right, to be able to hit that and know
Mm-hmm.
that your VC number will be hit only off of your incoming calls. And there's so many agents that even fear not hitting that number. And they're
Mm-hmm.
doing outbound marketing and spending money on top of, as these phone calls are coming in, these potential sales.
Yeah, no, the nice thing is you wake up day one and you know what's going to come in, because your phone calls are pretty predictable.
Yeah.
We have a range that come in every day, but for the most part, we know at the end of the month we'll take X number of calls. So you just do the math, and that's how many sales we know waking up day one we're going to have. Leads, and we do both. We'll probably get into leads a little bit. Something fairly new for us within the last 4 or 5 years. But those absolutely go up and down more than this. This is very, very predictable
Yeah.
if you follow the process and have good team members that can follow it. You can be confident 20% of your calls, new sale.
Yeah. Such a big number. All right. Well, let's fast forward a bit to, when we met, you had maybe 4 or 5 agencies, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 million. Is that about right?
I'd say so, yeah.
Yeah. And then at that point, it seemed like a turning point for you, because soon after you just started to turn into a rocket ship. So what caused that? What was the difference? What was the change there? And, why don't you help our viewers, give them some idea of what, how that transformed?
Yeah, no, and you mentioned that you would be asking that, and I said for me, I don't think I can look back and say at that point that I was saying I'm going to be 50 million one day. That's my goal. I want to be 50 million. I don't think I ever really thought that. What at that point, I think the reason why it turned around, did turn around. I mean, we've always been, we've made Honor Ring every single year. We've been an agency, but the reason why the pace just picked up is because at that point, again, I had 4 or 5 offices. I was running ragged. I would go to every office almost every day. And just I felt it was super important to be in person with them, to be talking to them. And what I found was I was getting exhausted. My love for the career has never wavered. I've always had a passion for it. That never changed. But I was literally getting exhausted from, I felt like I wanted it more than my producers, that I was trying to convince them on why this was an amazing opportunity, on why they should do reviews on calls when they came in, on why they should ask for referrals, on why they should go network. I felt like I was spending all of my the hours in the office every day convincing people. And it was getting very frustrating. And so at that point, I was, just racking my brain trying to figure out what could I do different. This is never going to be scalable if I just keep doing this. And we're just going to grow, because that's what agents do when we write business. We're going to grow. Man, what is my life going to look like in 5 years? I'm going to be going to 10 offices in one day. And that can't happen. I've got to find something that's more repeatable, something that there's a structure to. And so at that point, I remember a friend of mine, Paul, he was also an agent. He called me up one day and he's like, "Hey, Jeremy, I got these tickets to Dale Carnegie workshop." They were like $50, a workshop on, I don't even remember what the topic was. But I said, "I'll take 10. Let me send 10 of my people there," because I thought this is probably the magic pill. I know it's going to change them. It's going to inspire them. It's going to give them drive and the energy to always want to be their best. We'll send 10. And so we went there over in Bellevue and sat for, I don't know if it was a 3 or 4 hour workshop, and just loved some of the stuff that was being taught, and ended up connecting with Kristin, who is on my training platform, and started talking to her more about what Dale Carnegie does. And really, when you boil it down, they teach you how to talk to people. And I saw that is really what's missing here. And what I got from my banking days was the importance of just connecting with people. And so, Kristin and I, struck up a relationship, and having her work with some of my team members. And I ended up offering her a position as my team coach. And I remember I got a lot of calls from corporate back then. "You're the guy that hired a Dale Carnegie coach for your team. Tell me about that."
Yeah.
And they didn't really understand that, because Kristin was never going to, sell any items, never going to sell any policies. Why would you allocate a full payroll to that?
Yeah.
And to me, that's been best decision ever in my career, and truly why we have gone from 15 million or so at that point to 8 years later, 56 million, because we now focus a ton of time on how to talk to people, those soft skills. And that just has been everything in terms of getting our people more efficient, getting their individual production has probably tripled in that 8 years.
Yeah.
And just the culture and environment. I'm sure you probably want to hear a little bit more. I think we might want to just like yell and see if Kristin wants to come join for this part.
Kristin.
Kristin, can you wheel in here?
Kristin. Is she there?
Is she actually
Can
there?
she join us?
She's been sitting out. There you are.
I figured she'd be eavesdropping.
She'll give you all the good stuff now. And
Oh,
Hi, Kristin.
Oh,
hey.
hey, what a surprise seeing you guys here.
Hi, Kristin. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Kevin?
Good. Your hair looks shimmering.
That's so sweet of you to say. I always appreciate those hair compliments from you.
I like the suit.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good.
You can
Something I
see what
wanted
you
to
want.
something I wanted to say
Yeah.
because these guys practice what they preach. January 2020 is the first time I got to really hang out with you guys because we had booths next to each other at an event, and I remember
Yeah.
being at and I didn't think Jeremy. I apologize, Jeremy. I judged you before meeting you. I didn't think you'd be fun. I didn't think you'd be like fun to go out with, but you were so much fun. And Kristin was actually making me role play with her when we were out to dinner. And I thought that was
sure.
amazing because I was just like, wow, like, shoot, like we can be role playing wherever, not just at work.
That's
And
because he kind of like got
we don't have to go there.
a little bit.
Made a comment to the bartender, like thought it was like a smooth move.
We had
Oh,
we had to have him do a do-over. Yeah.
Yeah, and Kristin just
Yeah,
like,
the
was like,
bartender.
Jeff.
Oh.
and
right.
she was like, Brittany, did you find that comment a little weird? She's like, yeah. Kristin goes, let's role play that.
We might have role played with a few cab drivers in our years, huh?
Oh, absolutely. You can get the most deck sheets on the Uber ride.
Oh my gosh, did we have fun with that? Yeah, but Kristin is always up for a role play for sure. Well, I would say that you made a great hire in Kristin, and Kristin and you guys are a great team together. Kristin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Kristin. I hate those kind of questions, Kevin. Tell me about yourself.
Oh, okay. Would you like a different
Next
one?
question.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I love what I do. I have a background in sales. I have a background in momming, which is very useful in sales.
Yes.
And then I'm a certified Dale Carnegie trainer, which I'm super proud of. And I love what I do.
Oh, that's great. Well, why don't we, so you come in and you got your first day, your first week with Jeremy, and you're going to be the certified trainer, right? You're going to train his team. Why did you even leave Dale Carnegie and to come to work for Jeremy?
Well, that wasn't an easy decision, and I actually didn't really leave Dale Carnegie. I kind of left a part of what I was doing there. I still train for Dale Carnegie. Actually, just got done facilitating a Dale Carnegie course a couple of months ago. So I do it usually 2 to 3 times a year because it's an 8-week commitment every time I do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't say yes. Jeremy had kind of planted this seed, which he does. When he has an idea, but it probably took about 3 months to get me over to the dark side of the Olson agency. And I didn't want to leave Dale Carnegie. It was a horribly painful decision to make because I love that company and love what it represented. But at the end of the day, I asked myself, would I regret, in 5 years, not making the decision to grow with Jeremy's agency? There was just something special about what he was asking me to do, the challenge that he put in front of me. And when I answered that question, it was yes, I would regret it. And so no regrets. I had to move forward.
Awesome. That's
Yeah, and
great.
I would say day one, we did not really know what her job was going to evolve into, what it looked like. I would say the first month or so, I would tell Kristin, go fix him. Go fix this person. Can you go have a heart to heart with this person?
Around how many employees? Sorry to interrupt. How many employees did you guys have at that time?
15 or 18 at that time.
I'd say we had 15. Yeah, 15 or so. We had 15 salespeople. I remember that because, and we should back up.
All of them.
Yeah, we'll share that story. But, one of the first things Kristin brought into my agency, I don't know if it was day one, week one, very close to the beginning. She came in probably skipping that morning and said, we should role play today.
He paints that picture in such a weird way. I did not skip into the agency and say that, we were developing those talk paths, and I thought if we didn't role play them, they wouldn't use them.
She was very excited to role play, and I was. It probably is the biggest regret of my agency. I've gone on record of saying that. I thought that was, and I was very clear to her. I thought that was the dumbest thing ever.
And then they have a company together.
Yeah,
yeah, that's what the universe does to you.
We don't role play. We don't do that. And I am very open with my team too, and say I feel guilty to this day of, I look back at some of the past team members that if I had put them in a position to practice, which is all that role play is, they probably would have succeeded. You know, so many agency owners, myself included, my idea of coaching used to be, I would drive around to the office and just say, how many did you talk to today? Go talk to more, go sell more, go do more quotes, and never any direction. I think, you know, this is a huge piece in bringing Kristin on of developing that just everyday practice. We do it every day.
Yeah.
And then the structure piece is a huge piece that I would owe credit to Kristin on.
Mm. Well, those are massive
That's
pieces right there. You know, and I think that, you know, we talk to agents all the time and they have turnover, or they want the person to just walk into their agency and have all of the tools, right? That they can just turn the key and they're ready to go. And yet so few agents that I'm aware of invest massive amounts of time, even doing the extreme of hiring a coach specifically just to train them, because when they feel empowered and they feel trained up and they can do the job better and they're making more money, I mean, that's why I would imagine you have less turnover of your top employees. They realize what they have with you, and that's awesome.
I kind of think that when I first started working here, Jeremy had this vision. I mean, he did say, I want everybody to work as one team. So, you know, he had 6 offices and they kind of were all doing their own thing. And then he had this, I remember him painting the picture. He's like, imagine this, imagine that you're, you know, at the end of the month, and let's just take Katie for an example. Katie had her best month ever, and you're taking her to, you know, Newcastle Golf and Country Club to celebrate with her and her success. Wouldn't you just love doing that? And I think at first what he thought was I was going to take the existing team and that I was going to be the magic cure to all of their success. If I interacted with them, that they were going to be like, everybody was going to be a rock star. And kind of the opposite happened. A lot of people were not the right people on the team is what we discovered. And the first thing I did was start listening to calls. And I was like, wow, I mean, I don't even understand like everybody's doing something different. And, you know, how do you want your name represented on the door? And we started on this like journey of first just how to talk about insurance. And so obviously I really needed him for that and all of his years of experience. And we just mapped out probably for 6 months at this process that we call RDCR. And we've enhanced it. And, you know, with RPOA, we've obviously been able to do so many more things, but that's really what started it. But then everything, like all these gap areas in the business were all in the phone calls and the way that people were selling. And so that's why I had no idea that we were going to do all this structure, but that's why we were developing structure when people didn't start getting lift immediately. Some did, some didn't. A lot left. We started to develop new onboarding processes, and then we still didn't get like what we wanted out of our team. And I remember the thing was this crazy thing called accountability. We actually had to have accountability and consequences, but it took like a while we could actually not give them accountability or ask for it because we didn't know what we were asking for until we mapped it out. So it was definitely a process. Yeah, no. And you know, I always talk to agency owners and say, you know, we have almost 50 people on our team right now. Most have, you know, 3, 4, 5. Our number one goal as the agency owner, we want to sell a lot of policies. We want to have good close rates, be good at objections, all that stuff. But really, our job should be to make sure that every seat you walk up to is filled with the right person. That's our mission. And I am on a never ending quest to find that. I'm not there yet. I'm darn close. My team is incredible, but that is all I think about every day. How can every single seat
be somebody that I walk into. I'm like, man, I am so proud of this person. I know for sure they're going to hit their goal every month. I don't have to motivate them. They're self-motivated. They follow the process. They do, like, wouldn't our job as an agency owner be incredible? And we have literally an 8-year journey of trying to get there.
Mhm.
I was, again, successful for my first 17 years before I hired Kristin, but didn't have the structure, didn't have the role play, didn't have the accountability, the consequences. It's amazing. I ran an agency, but I was, again, I had 4 or 5 locations. I talked to agency owners that have one that are like this, like, I'm so busy. I got everything tugging at me. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I, fill my time? And it really boils down to they're so busy because they haven't set the expectation of having a person in the seat that will run and do what they need to do in the agency. So they're spending all their time picking up because they've settled for less than an A player.